Carniya crumbs, core 4 crumbs, and Saul doing way too much again and digging a bigger hole for herself. Hey there, it's Anonymous Tea, where we spill the tea anonymously. Hello, 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 everyone. Hello, YouTubers. Hope you guys are all having an amazing day today, sending good vibes, sending positivity, sending blessings, and good energy to each and every single one of you. Thank you so much for tuning in. So, anything I say is alleged and in my very, very personal opinion. This for entertainment purposes only. None of this is personal. The Copyright Act of 1976 is in the description box. Some meat and potatoes, some housekeeping items. So, today we are talking Love Island USA Season 8 postseason. That is the gift that keeps on giving, because there is constant drama every single day at this point. There's a couple of things I want to get into before we get into the soul of it all, of all the chaos she is causing on the internet. So Kata did another get ready with me or whatever type of video, and she said that her, Melanie, and Anaya went out the other night, and that they all got sick and got food poisoning and was not feeling right. And then today we see Trinity, we see Melanie, and we see Kata, and also Bryce in Los Angeles, and fans are meeting them and all the things. Now, I'm not sure whether or not Anaya is still in LA. I do not know, because what happened was somebody had posted this a little bit earlier on Threads. I totally agree that Carl and Anaya should keep their relationship or whatever they have going on private, and that's exactly what they're doing. I was in New York and got to witness a few things, since I was at the same rooftop where they were drinking. And somebody else left a comment, and we love that they're keeping it private. I'm sure they were looking cozy. And somebody else said, Buzzy, you know what I'm saying? ASO's couple. And then somebody else said, what exactly did you witness? And it says Anaya, Carl's mom, Carl's friend, and Carl were all together. That is something neither Anaya nor Carl have posted publicly, and I actually like that it stayed that way. And then fans were getting weird, trying to ask more details as far as what that meant, and what day it was and how long it was, and what was the weather like, what was their interaction like. You see, y'all be doing too much. Just accept the crumb, just accept the tea. That's all you got to do, right? Asking all these follow-up questions is very weird, is very parasocial, right? Then also, like I had referenced in my last video about Love Island, is that apparently a fan also saw Carl, Anaya, and Serena out to eat. It's like a dinner, it's like a restaurant / hookah lounge that they saw them at, and they didn't want to bother them. Now, I don't know if Anaya is back in New York or not, or if she is just out sick in Los Angeles, or if she has since gone back home in Atlanta. I do not have those answers, but it appears that Carl and his friends are still in New York, at least the last that I saw, right? But I do not know where Anaya is, but the way she is able to get it in and out all these places is very impressive. Next, we got to get into the soul of it all, because Soul has been doing absolutely too much, really, since she has gotten out of the villa, you know what I'm saying? So ultimately, Soul got dumped from the villa that was orchestrated by Sincere, and Soul, you know, thought that her ending jab was for the couples to not be as locked in and not to isolate any of the bombshells and all of this and all of that, right? She gets on After Sun and basically has all the smoke, is making allegations that Bryce is way more into Kata than he ever was into Trinity, and said that, you know, there's been multiple times that he was trying to pull Kata for chats than what we had seen, and all of this and all of that. You know what I'm saying? Was not trying to show any type of anything towards Anaya and KC at the time, because they were together at the time. And ultimately, when her and Gabe were at the Fiji airport, she was on this live stream where she basically said that the women in particular were going to feel her wrath at the reunion, basically having more smoke for, in particularly, the core 4, and trying to present them as bullies and as mean girls, and that they isolated Soul and they did all of these horrible things to Soul, right? So that has been her greatest hits, and she has since linked up with Beatrice, who hates Melanie's guts, and they think that they are going to tag team, I guess, the core four at this reunion. Now, after originally the Brinity fans had got Soul together, Soul switched up her tune and tried to say that Trinity was not a part of the bullying and the isolation, which would then leave, okay, so you're either talking about Kata, Melanie, or Anaya, or all three, right? But I feel like your real beef is with, Melanie and everything else, because what's interesting to me is that you have more smoke for these women and not these men who played in your face. It was the men that kept pieing your face over and over and over and over and over again until you were crying your eyes out. Until you had a full-on mental breakdown that Casey was the only one to check on you. But no smoke, it's none of the men's fault, right? That they must have been told by the women to do that, right? Because I know what type of time you're on. And then, you getting eliminated had nothing to do with the women. You know what I'm saying? That was all the men's decision. And if it was, if Casey felt that strongly about you, and whatever the case may be, he should have fought to keep you. But here's the thing. He didn't think that it was worth all of this to keep you still in that villa and sent you packing. But guess who you have smoke for? The women. And you are out here saying how you forgive Sincere. And briefly, you and KC were following each other. And you guys are not following each other anymore. I wonder why. You know what I'm saying? I wonder why. I wonder if, were you trying to see if, how were you trying to test the waters and see how serious it was with Casey and TT? I don't know. Something sus about that whole situation, right? But still, even with all of that, your smoke is only with the women. So we got to get into what has happened today. The first thing that Soul did, there was a tickety talk that said in the caption, since Trinity wants to press Soul at the reunion, I hope she has the same energy for Zach. And then Soul is in the comments saying, LMAO, I love the internet, with laughing emojis. Then Soul popped up on Threads and said, I want to know why people think I would purposely isolate/make myself uncomfortable around women I had to live with and be around 24/7 more than I was around the men, by the way, with laughing emoji. Y'all think I don't want to interact with people after being locked in a hotel for over a month with barely any social interaction, with laughing emojis. Let's think harder, with a, like a eyebrow slanted face emoji or whatever the case may be. So that's the first thing that she did on Threads, right? Next, there was a comment on the Tickety Talk that said, Mama got called out on Watch What Happens Live with laughing emojis. And Soul responded, why would they say something that makes them look bad and confirm what I said? Y'all dumb ASL with 4 laughing emojis. And why would I say I had a negative experience if I didn't? Y'all saw it through the screen, but say everyone gonna clock me. Please, no the F they not. Then Soul liked these comments. One, that Soul, we completely believe you. They can stay in the land of delusion. Continue to do you. I wish you nothing but the best. Soul, we the smart ones know people will believe the popular people every time, despite seeing patterns, never jumping on a bandwagon. Since all these shenanigans with Soul, she's lost, I believe, at least 10,000 followers and counting on the Instagrammies, because a lot of people just aren't feeling and they aren't featuring this nonsense. Here's my thing, right? Here's my thing. Normally, the history of the show is a bombshell. Usually what is supposed to happen, if you are trying to pursue somebody in their couple or whatever the case may be, you usually have a conversation with the other party. So say Soul was after Sincere. Typically, you have that conversation with Melanie. Hey, I just want to let you know I'm going to be pulling Sincere for a chat. I don't want things to be weird or awkward or any of the sort, right? But it was really the sneaking around that was taking place between Soul and Sincere, which is really what turned the fans off, right? And I don't know why Soul is getting gassed up by these people who really are not fans of her and are just people who are anti the core four and just want to hype Soul up so that Soul can look like a fool and embarrass herself at the reunion. Now, here's the thing. Do I think that Soul was bullied or isolated, right? Because I could make the argument that perhaps maybe some of the men fed into the isolation in that they did not want to be caught with Soul like that because of what happened with the Sincere and Melanie of it all. And then people are doing is they're pulling video and footage from the episodes and background scenes of episodes that show Soul interacting with these women, having a good time with these women, having pictures and stuff with these women. So because Trinity has extra questions to ask you, I want to know what the bullying and isolation tactics are and who your real smoke for is. Is this really about Melanie? Is this really about Anaya? You know what I'm saying? Because for all intents and purposes, everything that I am seeing from the core four has been nice ladies. And that they all have a very close relationship with each other. And even Kenzie said that ultimately, you know what I'm saying, that it was Melanie that was always pulling Anaya and Trinity for chats, and basically alluded to production having control over who you could and could not speak to. So was it really isolation, or was it a situation that you couldn't infiltrate that group? That you couldn't, you know what I'm saying, be seen as one of the girls, a part of, you know, what they had going on, and you were jealous of that, so you're coming out and saying bullying and isolation. Because here's the thing, for somebody to be bullied in isolation, you know what I'm saying, you need to give examples, because people throw that word around, and what they're describing isn't bullying and isolation as much as it is, hey, we didn't really talk much in the villa. We weren't really that close in the villa. You know what I'm saying? Like it was high or by. We were able to get ready or whatever the case may be. Or, hey, I might not have really talked to you. I might have ignored you because you were talking to my man. Right? But it wasn't a situation where anybody's trying to start a fight with Soul, or anybody's trying to get into it with Soul, or people are cussing out Soul every time she's in a room. I don't believe that those were the things that were happening, because the show production would have showed us. If these girls were cussing Soul out at every turn, you know what I'm saying, throwing food at her when she walks in the room, throwing makeup at her when she comes to the room. See, bullying, attacks, things like that, those are the things that I think of when somebody says that they're isolated and bullied. But if it's just a situation where these girls were already close to begin with, and they did not hang out with you as much, and the real, if we want to keep it a buck, outside of you and Jen and you, Kayla, being, you know, bombshells that y'all were going to connect anyways, Kenzie really only went over there because she was jealous, number one, of the bond that Melanie, Trinity, and Anaya had, is what she said on Call Her Daddy. And two, she also wanted to be sneaky behind Melanie's back with Corbin. And then it's okay for Kenzie to say about Soul behind her back, oh yeah, I'm not going to tell her the details of what me and Corbin are doing because I don't trust her. But I just feel like at this point with Soul, like she does not want to take any accountability or any responsibility that ultimately she flopped on the show. We tried to give her a lifeline by putting her with Sincere, and ultimately she did not do anything to keep her position on the show or even fight to try to keep herself to stay on the show and everything else. And it's just really the audacity. It's the men that have you in the positions that they had you in. Because there was opportunities where the girls wanted to talk to Soul, and we saw after the pie challenge when Melanie said something to Sincere about having a conversation with Soul, he basically shut it down and basically said, no, that's not a good look, right? That's not a good look. Let's not do that. And the reason he would do something like that is because he doesn't want y'all to compare notes. But initially, Soul had made it seem like her and Melanie had all these conversations But I am just exhausted with Soul being in these comments, and now she's trying to delete comments and trying to delete the evidence and make it seem like the stuff that she said wasn't that bad and all of these things. But it's like, you are messy boots. You are doing too much. Your obsession with the core four and trying to take the core four down is going to be your downfall. Like it's not that serious, all of the shenanigans that you are continuing to do as it pertains to these ladies. And you have all these people, like I said, gassing you up to make you seem like you're a victim. Just like people are trying to gas up other islanders to make them believe that they're a victim. But I feel like this is going to be a setup and it is going to backfire bad. Now, I don't know how much time the reunion intends on spending on Soul compared to other major storylines, but I don't think this is going to go Soul's way in the way that she is thinking. Really, she is just pissed that she didn't last that long on the show and she couldn't turn as many heads as she was expecting to turn. So instead of her holding herself accountable and, immediately being proactive with these men when she got there as a bombshell, she basically got, had to take a step back, waited until it was Sincere that was the only one that was giving her attention, and then at the end of her journey was having more conversations with KC, but ultimately at that point the ship had sailed. And you even told him as such that if he was not going to be approaching you or pulling you for chats, that everything was a moot point, and basically called him a PUSSY. So what is your beef then with the women? Is my question. Why do you have so much smoke for these ladies? And nobody can answer that question for me as far as why is Soul doing all of this, because it's not a good look. Just because fans are hyping you up, they're hyping you up to see the mess, to see the drama, to see the chaos. They're not hyping you up because they're a genuine fan of you. They're hyping you up because they don't like the core four. But again, anybody who is anti the core four, y'all gotta realize that's a small minority of people. The majority, the brands, the fans, the people that aren't going to be getting into it back and forth online, the people who are going to be spending the shmoney if there's core four brand deals, those aren't going to be the people that are in Soul's comments. The actual fans of the core four that you see on Anaya's page and Kata's page and Trinity's page and Melanie's page, those are the fans that have the buying power. Those are the supporters that support the core four. Not these people on Soul's page setting her up for failure. And if Soul was smart, she would not entertain this madness heading into the reunion, because now what's going to happen is if Trinity already felt a way about your comments on After Sun, and now she's going to get more intel, you know what I'm saying? Because I'm sure there's people telling Trinity what the tea is, whether it's her family or her friends or whoever, or a loyal, fan page or whatever the case may be. They've made them aware of your screenshots, Soul, of the comments that you're making. So now what you're doing is you're building a RICO case against yourself for these ladies to just go completely full throttle against you. And this is going to be worse than the allegations that you're claiming happened to you in the villa. But I just think Soul is down the wrong road. I think her dragging out this nonsense against the women, but, having no smoke for the men that were responsible for you being dumped in the villa is a choice, and says a lot about you and says a lot about what your mentality and mindset is. And I'm just not feeling it. I'm not feeling it. I'm not featuring it. I think it is a cop-out. I truly do. And trying to compare the ladies who defend Sincere or who are defending Zack Attack, here's the bottom line. Here is where things are different, right? Those ladies are aware that Zack Attack and Sincere are not on their best behavior. But let me explain it to you, right? Because you guys all have friends or family, or it might be you yourself, that is involved with somebody that you really don't care about, or might be married to somebody that you don't really feel is good enough for your friend or your relative, right? But you're not going to, every time you see or have an interaction with said friend or said relative, I think your man is trash. I think your man is horrible. I think you can do better. Because ultimately, that is going to prevent that friend or relative bringing that man around and y'all spending time together. That's going to impact y'all relationship. So you can voice your concerns about how you feel about this relationship, about this marriage. But ultimately, if the female in the relationship / marriage is not letting go of this man, what do you expect these ladies to do? If Core 4 has a strong bond and their men are a part of that, you know what I'm saying? What do you expect them to do? If Melanie does not want to leave Sincere alone and wants to see how he treats her on the outside, what is the Core 4 supposed to do? If Kata is fine with what Zack Attack said on the show about her bestie Trinity and stuff that he said about her behind her back, and she still wants to rock it with him, still being quote-unquote exclusive and not made the girlfriend yet, that's on Kata. But the bigger picture is that these Kata and, Melanie have not left Sincere or Zack Attack alone. They're going to stick beside them. So if they're going to stick beside them, what are the other ladies in the Core 4 supposed to do? If Melanie wants to stick by Sincere, what is Kata, Anaya, and Trinity supposed to do? If Kata wants to stick beside Zack Attack, what is Anaya, Trinity, and Melanie supposed to do? Like y'all acting like y'all don't know how this goes in real life. Y'all acting like y'all don't got a friend or a relative that is in a relationship or that is in a marriage that you know that dude is not good enough and that dude is grimy. But you know that you can only approach it a certain way and at certain times, or they're not going to let you in and they're going to cut you off of the situation. Make it make sense. So, anyways, you guys, that is it for this video. I need y'all to do me the biggest favor, and that is to hype the video. Hype the video, please. There is that. That is it. That is all. It's todos es final. It's finito. It's the end of the road. It's the end of the line for this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Please do not forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you're notified the moment I post some content on my channel. And with that being said, I'll talk to you guys again very soon.